fire, on fire, choose fire, on fire, choose fire, on fire, choose fire, on fire, choose fire. We're excited that you tuned in for a time of refreshing with Miss Aliyah Ballard. It's a show. She's an author, motivator, inspirational speaker who's on fire to inspire the world. She's a girl to a fire, on fire, to fire, on fire, to fire, on fire. Said she's on fire, to fire, on fire, to fire, on fire, to fire, on fire, to inspire. Inspiration, motivation, encouragement, empowerment. You need inspiration, a little bit of motivation, encouragement as well. Thank you for tuning in to the show. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the sponsors of the show. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to On Friday Inspire. I am Aliyah, your host, the Aliyah, the Purpose Midwife. I want to thank you so much for joining us this beautiful, beautiful Tuesday evening. You could have been doing anything else, but you chose to spend it with us, and for that, we're totally grateful. I want y'all to do me a favor, though. I need y'all to hit that share button, whether you're in LinkedIn land, Facebook land, YouTube land. Tell us hello and hit that share button for me. And while we're hitting the share button, I want to thank our sponsors. So I want to thank mombizboss.org. If you are a mom, multiple operational manager, and you are interested in connecting and collaborating or connecting and networking with other business owners like yourself, you want to go to mombizboss.org and join that team of entrepreneurs. Everybody has such great spirits, and they are doing their things. They have all kinds of businesses, and they have networking opportunities at least once a month for a brunch. And they do virtual as well as now they're doing face-to-face again as well. So if you're in other states, hey, don't worry about it, because you can do the virtual version of it, right? So go visit them. And if you are in need of a speaker or trainer, we have a John Maxwell certified trainer and speaker, Ricky D. Surratt, who's also the author of Leadership Inside Trajectory. That is my big brother and pastor. He is, I tell you, an awesome, awesome teacher. He has an awesome teaching anointing. So if you need someone to come do leadership, whether it's in your business or in your organization or company, he can take great care of you. And you can find his books and book him at iworkfaith.com. Now, we also have, if you go to Facebook, go over to Facebook land and go look up Come Dance with Mina, MENA. Y'all, we have a ball with Come Dance with Mina. And we do Zumba on Mondays and Thursdays. And generally about once a month, we do a line dance party. But we have one line dance, I want to say it's Flex, that we did back in May to invite people to our June party, and we have 190,000 views on that line dance, and it's a real. Who knew, right? We just inviting people to the line dance party, but y'all go visit Come Dance with Mina, MENA, and go visit that and come on out and support and have a good time doing wellness. And it's not just about Zumba, y'all. You get a motivational work before you get started each and every time. So y'all look that up. Come Dance with Mina, MENA. And then finally, if you don't have any of my books, you need to go out and get them. We have my very first book, which I wrote when my daughter was small, called A Learning Book Just for Me, Teaches Foundational English and Spanish. And so that's my second child. Her name is Precious the Panda. So if you have a little one or you want to sew into a little one's life, that is teaching foundational both English and Spanish. Then the second book was, guess what? On Friday Inspire. On Friday Inspire was actually a book of inspiration that God will wake me up in the midnight hour, giving me words of encouragement to people. And 7 months later, this is where we started, right, y'all? So it's been December will be 9 years, y'all. And there, in between there, we have a couple of affirmational and prayer ebooks. And then finally, we have the I Am Inspirations Journal, as well as the I Am Inspiration, the coloring book. And I use this coloring book for teen girls or adult women. And I do sessions. So if you need anyone to come in and do speaking, encouraging, empowering, I am your girl, Leah the Purpose Midwife. Also, if you have women or young girls that you want to just sow that into their lives, y'all, I tell you, these young people, these young adults have so much more to deal with than we have ever could imagine in this day and time. So they always need to be encouraged. And then finally, I'm also an MC. So if you need me to MC or host, reach out to us on onfiretoinspire@gmail.com, and you can say that you need a host, so you need an MC. And then finally, also, I said finally one time ago, but if you are wanting to be a sponsor for On Fire to Inspire, put that in the line, the subject line, host. Excuse me, sponsorship. All right, y'all. So we're gonna jump right into the topic. Y'all hit that share button so that we can get some others to hear this great, great testimony about ministry in action. I want to welcome my friend and sister from another mother on, and we're going to bring on Melinda Hollandsworth. And give me just a moment. We're going to bring her on. Here we go. Melinda, welcome to On Fire to Inspire. How you doing this evening?
Hello. I am so good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I want to welcome you first because this is your first time on Fire to Inspire. And then secondly, I want you to introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, so my name's Melinda Hollandsworth, and I am actually the co-founder of a nonprofit that is kind of in the Atlanta area, just a little east of Atlanta. If you know the Atlanta area, Loganville, Monroe, it's kind of where we're out of. But we operate community centers inside mobile home neighborhoods. So most of the neighborhoods where we work are home to first and second generation immigrant families. And so we work with kids from kindergarten through 12th grade until we see them on into either finding a career path or college or something along those lines. So I've been doing that for about 15 years and love it.
Wow, 15 years. We're going to delve into that a little deeper in a moment. But the topic itself, ministry in action. What does ministry in action mean to you?
Yeah. Oh, that is I love that title when I saw it on the flyer earlier. I mean, I think ministry in action is really just putting your feet to what you believe. Like I think if you say you believe something, I just firmly believe that your life should reflect that. And those two things should match up. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is the one that says, "For we are to God the aroma of Christ among those who are being saved and those who are perishing." And I love that word aroma in there because I think about an aroma is a smell, and so a smell is such a powerful thing, but it doesn't always even speak. And so I think when you think about ministry in action, it is people around you should be able to figure out something about your faith just by the things that you're doing and not just by what you're saying.
Gotcha. I love that. The aroma. I love that because an aroma can actually speak so much louder than a word can say.
Yes.
Especially if it's a beautiful fragrance.
Yes. Yes. Well, I always think about when I smell cut grass, it's like that is what Saturday morning smells like, and pencils, that is first day of school, like the beginning of the school year. And, if you walk into your house and you have a towel that has soured, like it causes you to move into action. Like what has spoiled in my house? And so I think that that's who we should be. Our action should call people into action with us.
Yes, I love that. And when you think about when you were painting those pictures with your words, it made me think about the smell of rain. You can smell where rain is
Yes.
coming or has come.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it is funny how someone can be talking to you and you can actually start visualizing what they're talking about, or it creates a picture of something else, and that's what it created for me.
Yeah.
You said you are the co-founder
Yes.
of Path United.
Hmm.
So tell us about you, and you've been doing this for 15 years. Tell
Hmm.
us about what, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. Let's back up. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
getting ahead of me.
Hmm.
Let's back up. Let's tell everybody how God placed this in your lap, so to speak.
Okay.
Because sometimes, you can tell people about it, but not until,
Mhm.
because when you paint the whole picture of it, then people can say, well, you know what? I have a similar story. God, is
Mhm.
that what you want me to do?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So this is not something that I set out to do. So my husband Jim and I actually are the co-founders of Path. But what happened to us is I was a teacher, and I had been a teacher for a lot of years. My husband Jim was a pastor at a church. And one Christmas, we signed up to be like our small group Bible study, signed up to sponsor a family that had signed up for a Christmas sponsorship. And so we were going to deliver gifts to the home. And when we got there, we made friends with the family that we were delivering presents for. And because we became friends in that short time, we would kind of stop back by and visit from time to time. And over time, the family just started to share with us that they really needed help with their kids for school. And so the kids were telling us all about their big dreams for their life, like they wanted to do this or that. But then as the story unfolded, we recognized that they did not have older brothers and sisters or cousins or neighbors who were really achieving the dreams that God had put in their heart. And so as we got to know the families, they were like, listen, like we don't always know how to navigate the school system, or because we speak Spanish, we can't help our kids with homework, or, we can't help our kids read, learn to read and things like that. And so they said, could you just come and help our family? And we said, sure, we can come help you guys with your homework, navigate the school system, things like that. And so my husband Jim and I would show up, and every week more people in the neighborhood would hear about these people who were coming to help with homework and help with tutoring. And so we were just inviting friends to come along. So it really was just one invitation from a family saying, hey, could you help with this? And we knew that we had the the knowledge and the experience to meet that need. And so we stepped into one thing that was just one small step that just sort of snowballed into what's now Path in Georgia and Tennessee.
so what I'm hearing is God used your yes and your
Mm-hmm.
obedience, coupled with your gifts, to
Mm-hmm.
open up you walking into your purpose
Mm-hmm.
unknowingly.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. It is a crazy thing. And I don't think that the things that we have to do now to run a business and run a nonprofit and all that, we did not have those skills 15 years ago. The only skills we had at the time were we knew how to recruit friends to come and help with tutoring. We knew how the school system worked. I had an education background, and that was the first yes, and then a new door would open and we would have to walk through that door. And so that's kind of how it came to be. I think, and here's an interesting story. So we were meeting in like the property manager's office at the beginning, and we were having to bring chairs in, tables. It wasn't a great setup. And so probably, I don't even remember how many months in we were, there was a shooting in the neighborhood. And so we found out about the shooting in the neighborhood. And I just thought, I am not qualified to do this work. I don't, you know, should we be bringing volunteers here? Is it safe for people? Is my family safe? Um, and so we made the decision that we knew we were where God had called us to be, and that we would keep showing up and we would keep inviting people, and we would be honest about some of the things that had happened in the neighborhood. And so during that time, it came about that the people who were involved in the shooting left the trailer abandoned. And so we were able to buy the trailer for $1,000 and then open that into our first permanent community center. And so that's when we had to learn about renovating. So it was just always a new thing where we had to decide, okay, we're going to take one more step. There's a shooting. Are we going to take one more step? And then now this building is available. Are we going to learn how to renovate a building? And so lots of small yeses with lots of learning along the way.
Wow, 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 wow. And what's amazing to me is how God used that one yes in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you had to give more yeses, but He continued to put people that saw your vision in your path, just like,
Mm-hmm.
the people, the people will run with it for you, in
Yeah.
the script in Habakkuk. So people saw your vision, they saw your heart. But isn't it just like us as parents to want to give the best to our children? But for
Mhm.
them, they had the language barrier. I want
Mhm.
to help my child. I want to do this for my child, but I don't speak enough English to help them with their work. What is
Yes.
it feeling like as a mom that says, "Oh my goodness, what was
Yes.
that?"
It's interesting. I was just talking to a mom in the neighborhood right before I left here, and we actually just had this conversation of we are all the same. Like, we all want what's best for our kids. We all love our kids. And I think there's also a part where we also all feel inadequate in some area. Like, there are things that my kids love and want to be a part of, but I don't have that experience. And so I have to depend on somebody else, or somebody else showing up to invest in my kids, because I can't be everything for my kids, my own personal kids. So
Right.
God always just provides.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, how receptive, um, were they to someone that didn't look like them? You know how sometimes you go into a neighborhood,
Mhm.
because I know sometimes in neighborhoods, even if you're their race,
Mhm.
sometimes people are standoffish if they don't know you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Great evening, everybody. Y'all joining. Great evening, co-pastor. So people are joining and saying hello and great good evening. Y'all make sure y'all share this, because I mean, when I tell you Melinda and her husband's testimony is amazing, it is absolutely amazing. So what was that like? How receptive were they, in the beginning, to have someone that don't look like us but willing to help us?
Mhm. Yeah. So I think, so we had become friends with the first family initially. And so I think that they were the ones who would say, like, these people are okay. You know what I mean? Like, that's people
Mhm.
were, we were borrowing their reputation and their good name, for people to get to know us. I do have a funny story. So we started our programs, we'd moved into our new building, and so new kids were coming. And so one of our precious first kids, his name is Omar, and he loves to tell this story. He's now mid 20s. But he and his buddies would come, and they would not come inside. They would only sit on the porch. And so we would talk to them every week, and they were not going to be part of programs, and they were not going to come in. They just would come, and they were very polite and they were nice. And so years later, we had become really close with Omar and his whole family. And so we were laughing about our memory of him not coming in the programs. And he said, listen, we were there just to see how long these white people were going to last in our neighborhood. He's like, we knew white people weren't going to last in our neighborhood. And we just came to see because we knew that you weren't going to make it. And so it's our joke, because we were there for his graduation, when his kids were born, like, we've been a part of his life forever. And it is
Yeah.
such this funny story of, he was like, white people aren't going to make it in my neighborhood. And he was just there kind of betting with his buddies on how long it would take. So, um,
Wow.
I think that it's all about relationship. You and I had this conversation when we met at camp, that people know your heart. It actually doesn't even matter what you say. I think people genuinely know your heart. And I think it's okay for people to be a little skeptical at first. Like, I think um anytime I'm in a new place, a new neighborhood, and someone doesn't know me, like, I think it's like, what's the catch? Like, why would you come and do this work? Um, but then I really do think that people can feel if someone is doing something for the right reason, because we've actually had people come in who want to volunteer with us or do something, and sometimes there's an ulterior motive, or there's another, and it's almost like, even though, and I think sometimes the language barrier brings
Mhm.
that to the surface even more, because you really are just having to trust the Holy Spirit at work, and you're
Mhm.
trying to, trust your feeling about if someone's intentions are right or not.
Yes. And it's funny because I was going to say you utilize a relationship. And that's one thing about when you're working in small towns as well. So not just,
Mm-hmm.
um, working in different communities that don't look
Mm-hmm.
like you, but even in small towns, they can look like you. But if
Mm-hmm.
I don't know you, I don't trust you. And
Yeah.
so,
Mm-hmm.
and so building relationships is very, very key when you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to help people and do things. like you and your husband are doing from the heart. And it's such a blessing. So y'all went from meeting in the man's little office, the person's little
Hmm.
office, to buying that trailer for $1,000, renovating it.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
how many locations do you all have now?
There are 7 locations now. So 6 are in Georgia, and then 1 is right outside of Nashville in Tennessee. And so every neighborhood has its own staff of people. And what I think is so beautiful is every staff person has their own story of how God brought them into this work. And that's a fun, and the truth is, like, I think part of it is just God putting the right people in the right place, and people just know. It is such a fascinating thing, because you're right, it can be really hard to trust people, and you have to push past sometimes the uncomfortableness of, like, it is a
Mhm.
different culture, or you see things differently, or but making that choice to go past it, I think, is really important.
And I think with you building the relationship to the point where you're invited to the graduation, you're invited to the
Mhm.
baby showers and stuff. Now you know for a fact that they see you as one of their family members or one of their
Mhm.
friends to trust you
Mhm.
enough to invite you to something so close to them. You
Right.
know,
Right.
that's
Mhm.
amazing. Um, the children, you all have seen so many graduate now, being
Mhm.
there 15 years.
Yeah.
Um, give us a testimony of one that may have been like struggling and just
Mhm.
because they connected with you all, they were able to graduate. And, give us
Yeah.
a testimony of something like that.
Yeah, I love those stories. Okay, so we had one of our first boys. His name is Emmanuel, although the kids call him Butters in the neighborhood. He's mid-20s now too. Um, but I remember when he was in high school, he was just kind of giving up on school. Like, he just kind of was not really into it, but he was also really smart. So it's kind of like he was going to school, he was not turning his work in, but he would come hang out with us and talk about what he was learning in school. So it was this weird thing of, like, he actually liked learning, but he just wasn't doing the work. And I think he was just assuming that dropping out was going to be what he was going to do. And at the time, this was before DACA came into place, which is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival. So he did not have citizenship. And so he really didn't see a purpose for graduating from high school. And so while he was in high school, a couple of things happened. He realized that he was good enough to make the high school soccer team, but he couldn't be on the soccer team if he didn't bring his grades up. And so it really wasn't that hard for him to bring his grades up. But then also DACA came into play during the time that he was in high school, and he realized, like, wait a minute, if I graduate, I can get a job, and I will have, a legal path to driver's license and all those kinds of things. And so it was really fun to watch him navigate high school. He's graduated now, has had several different really neat jobs. He has an entrepreneurial spirit, so he's always got some new thing happening. But he is one of our kids that we always think about, where it was like you watch that moment in the road of, like, oh, which one are you going to choose? And we've been doing this, long enough now that, we have kids in their later 20s, and we watched them choose a path that was not one that we really wanted for them, kind of headed in a direction of things that were more destructive for their lives, or not really going after their potential and what we saw. Um, but what's cool is they get out into the real world and realize they have this foundation and things that were invested in them. And so to watch those kids come back is also really fun, to just know that the work that we do and the things that we plant, they return at some point in time. We have to just kind of let kids go sometimes, but then to see them come back and talk about how things come back in their lives is really a fun thing.
Yes, because you all sowed some great seeds into them, and
Mm-hmm.
so it had to blossom, and it couldn't give them the roots that they wanted. It had to come back, and
Yeah, yeah.
what's
And
the word?
sometimes,
What's
oh, go
that
ahead.
word when they those things it's not the roots when you have those nasty things that pop up. What's that called?
Oh, weeds. The
Weeds,
weeds
yes.
pop up. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
the weeds couldn't pop up because you all had planted some good
Yeah.
ground. You had to take up some good
Mm-hmm.
deep roots. So
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
And
yes. And I saw something when you were talking. I saw a flower that was a bud and it just
Mhm.
blossomed. And
Mhm.
that's what I saw as you were speaking. I saw you speaking as you all were speaking to them. They were just these little buds, but it just
Mhm.
opened up and it just blossomed and it opened. And that's a beautiful thing to be able to see the hand of God come into the lives of so many just because you said yes. Your
Mhm.
obedience to yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
It's fun. Fun stuff. Yeah.
Now, so you all have 7 locations now. 15 years
Mhm.
later, y'all have 7 locations.
Mhm. Yep.
That's amazing. Now, you have children yourself. Your husband and y'all have children yourself.
We
Do they
do.
help as well?
They do. They do. So Kate, our oldest daughter, is in 10th grade, and then we have Will, who is in 7th grade. So, they've kind of grown up with the work, and they have friends from the neighborhood that they've grown up with that they see from time to time. Um, you know, so when our path kids are in elementary school, depending on which neighborhood they're in, they have different summer camp activities, like a day camp that they go to. And so our kids grew up going to, the camp just like everybody else. And then when our path kids move into middle school, they can come back and work at the camp. So it's part of their leadership and growing up. And so my kids, that was a favorite thing for them when they were finally old enough to come back and work at the camp. So my kids get to do whatever the kids in Path are doing at the time. So like whatever, if the Path kids are volunteering at that age, then my kids get to volunteer. So they've grown up Path, and the things that we've learned over the years, I think we have ended up adding into our parenting. It's almost like we get to try new things and see new things, and what we learn from our Path work, we get to also do at home, because it's like you said earlier, like we all just want the best for our kids. And so many of the families that we work with, like we're partnering with their parents to figure this out together. Like, how can we be the best for our kids?
Absolutely love it. So, do you all have a website?
We do. We do. So our name is Path United. So it's www.pathunited.org.
Okay. And do you all need volunteers? Y'all need funding? Y'all need anything?
All the things, all the things. So you can find all the needs there on the website. So there's a place to donate financially. I think
Okay.
there's some wish list. If you kind of look through the website, you can find some wish list.
Okay.
Volunteers too. So if you fill out the volunteer form, somebody will give you a call. We have a lot of different volunteer opportunities for different age groups, locations. So somebody would give you a call and then kind of talk to you to help you find the right place to volunteer, because that's the thing, we want to match people's giftings with the right spot.
You all were able to take some children to Camp Grace.
Yes.
Let's talk about that experience. I can't get off of here without talking about that experience
Yeah.
because that was my first experience as
Yeah.
well.
Hmm. I know. So that was super fun. So we were roommates. Like I tell everybody, I'm like, I'm talking to my roomie tonight. um but yeah, so Camp Grace is just an amazing camp in Roberta, Georgia, so South Georgia. And they partner with organizations like Path or Sidewalk Hope, which is who you were there with. So organizations who are working with kids year round so that they can come and have a really great camp experience. And so it really is just a beautiful opportunity for kids to hear the gospel, to learn about Jesus, to be around people who are encouraging and investing in their lives, but at the same time challenging them to try new things and do things that might be out of their comfort zone or different. Um, and for me, you and I were both there for the whole week. And so the kids that I get to go to camp with, you learn so much about those kids, which really helps throughout the whole year, just knowing those kids, having a strong relationship, knowing their experiences at camp. So it was a really great thing. And it's interesting. I was actually talking to one of our Path girls this week who is probably 18 years old. And she needs to go back and finish some classes to finish her high school diploma. And he was talking about, she said, I'm just scared. Like, I'm scared to make the call. I'm scared to, and we were talking about how we could see God in her life, like opening up all these doors for her to go back and finish up these last couple of credits. And so we were talking about doing scary things. And so somehow she started thinking back to all the brave things she had to do in her life through PATH, like a camp that we went to, or, a different activity that she had never done. And so I think that's what Camp Grace does, is it challenges kids to get out of their comfort zone. You're in a new place. You're with people that you've never met before. You're trying new things. I think about a couple of girls that I had at camp who had like survival skills. They signed up for survival skills and they learned to build like a tent out of sticks and build a fire. And so I think there's so many great things that happen at Camp Grace, and good friendships between people who were there with kids, right?
Yes. And and the children were able to build some great friendships. We had one of our children, she was terrified, but do you know she rang that bell at the rock climbing wall? I was
Oh,
like, wow. So it introduces them and it gives them access to things that they maybe have never done. Because most of our children had never been outside of Spartanburg.
right,
Many of
right.
them never left Spartanburg before in their lives. And so that was a great to be able to see that, and to see them first get there and they're like, I miss my mom. I want to go back home. And then on Friday, y'all ready to go home? No, we want to stay longer.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
to see
Yeah.
teenagers acting like that and being
Mhm.
excited about, the word and the worship and the fellowship. And I mean, they were so hype. I was like, whoa, but they enjoyed every moment. And I
Yes.
think we had a conversation about the foot washing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
yes,
I know.
yes. Did you have a conversation with your children about the foot washing experience?
They did. They really loved it. And I think it was one of our girls, that was a night for her that she just kind of was like, I really love being here at camp. And I think it was that feeling of like being served and loved. And it was such a special moment of like, you are important, like you matter. And you've been at
Yeah.
camp all week in the dirt and the mud and all the things. And we're going to wash your feet and put new tennis shoes. I think just what that means to anyone is such a huge thing, like the love and care that shows and that someone feels, I think, in that moment is just
Mhm.
incredible. And so one of our girls really was like, I've never felt so loved as this moment, because it was just such a special moment.
I had maybe about two 12-year-olds with me. And so I asked them, because we had boys and girls, five of each. And
Hmm.
I asked them, I said, so tell me what was that like? And so, they're 12, they were not really mature.
Hmm.
And so it was like, that was weird. No one's ever washed my feet. Nobody touches
Ah.
my feet with me. And I
Uh-huh.
said, no, you've given me the physical thing of it. Now I'm about to take you somewhere. Go with me. I
Yeah.
said, now y'all had your Bible story the other night. Right before that, y'all saw Jesus washing the disciples' feet, and he loved you enough to send some disciples that night to wash your feet. Now tell me what
Hmm.
it felt like. When I tell you those kids' answers blew me away. I mean, y'all,
Yes.
that experience for them, many of them were in tears
Hmm.
explaining it after that. Many of them were in
Yes.
tears when they finished with the foot washing. And
Yes.
then, oh, it was a beautiful to
Yeah.
watch that and be able to,
Mhm.
partake of that. That was, I'll never forget it as an adult who, just was an observer of it. It's
Yes.
an experience for them, you
Yeah.
know.
And I
And
think
all
so
10
many,
times.
yeah, I think so many things that happen at camp are part of those seeds that you plant in kids' lives. Like
Mhm,
for a lot of
mhm,
our older kids, when they come back to visit, they talk about those camp experiences that they had.
mhm,
And
mhm,
I just think, even for my own kids, those camp experiences are so good when you can be away from all your normal things, all
mhm.
the just everyday stuff, and you're just with people who care about you, people who are encouraging you, and you're trying new things. It's a cool opportunity.
You know what, Melinda? Some of them didn't think they were going to make it through a whole week without their phones, but they didn't even think about their phones.
Yes,
There's
yes, yes,
so
yes.
much for them to do. So
Yeah.
much. Everything from rock climbing to canoeing to archery. I mean, things that you would say, wow, those children had access to that. Yes. And they didn't pay a dime, y'all.
Yes.
So if
Mhm.
y'all have an organization that is faith-based and y'all want to take some children, ooh, y'all need to look into that. It was a
Yes.
beautiful, beautiful
Mhm.
experience. And I was like,
Yes.
"Ooh, y'all asked me to go here. Oh, to
Yes.
be able to see that kind of impact that you place in it. Because we had three that had gone before and
Mhm.
they rededicated their life to Christ. But the
Mhm.
other seven gave their life to Christ. So to be
Mhm.
able to be there and see that, you know.
Yes. Yeah. And I think for me, because these are the kids that I see all year long, it kind of gives us things to talk about. Remember you heard about this, or remember you tried this, is really a neat thing. And then for a lot of our kids, they come back and they're leaders in the neighborhood. And so they come back, you know, modeling for other kids how to serve and love. And so it is a really it's a great camp, great camp. So I'm with you. I agree that it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So, Hetty, yes, it was a great way for them to grow. Absolutely. And Dr. Lorinda, it was a wonderful experience. Absolutely. I don't know if you could see the things. We got a couple of things coming over from Facebook and some
Okay.
comments coming over
Let's
for
see.
both.
Oh,
Um,
maybe I don't see him. Uh-oh, hold on. I hit a wrong button. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to touch anything again. I was going to try to see something. I don't see it. Yeah.
it's okay. But Melinda, what she and her husband, what God has entrusted them with for the last 15 years, I tell you, it's absolutely amazing how they went in just to help a family. And 15 years later, they're impacting so many lives, so many families, just with telling God, yes, I'll serve. Yes, I'll do what you say do. And they go help children with their homework and they love on them. They show them the love of Christ in action. That's why I entitled this Ministry in Action, because it's outside of the walls is where you do your real ministry. That's when they're
Mhm.
sowing these seeds into the lives of these children. And many of them come back and grown people and they're thanking them. And I
Mhm.
love it. I absolutely love it. So when you were talking about what y'all do, I was like, oh, I got to get you on my show. Oh my God.
Listen, it is such great work. And I think, coming alongside the families that we work with is just amazing because I see it play out back in my own life, like as I'm coming alongside parents and helping them with their kids, there are people who are coming alongside me and I think that's what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to just do life with people and care for each other and carry each other's good stuff and bad stuff and all the things together.
Yes. Be our brother's keeper and our sister's keeper.
Yes. Hmm.
Absolutely. Well, y'all go visit her website, pathunited.org. Did I do it right?
You did. Yep. You got it.
Okay.
Hmm.
pathunited.org, y'all. Go visit her site. If you're in the area and you're interested in volunteering, reach out and let them know. If
Hmm.
you can they have a list of things that they need on their site. You can go out and be a blessing because y'all, they're not just taking money, they're actually applying it and doing what they need to do. And they even have a van and they take the kids, they brought the kids to Roberta, Georgia in their van. So it was a
Hmm.
beautiful. How many children a year at camp? Um, they
Oh.
have some sessions. We took 10 from the area I went
Hmm.
with, the organization I went with, but there were 100 and how many were there when we went?
I'm trying to think. It was over 100 kids, and I know it's 6 weeks, so they probably I want to say like 700 kids they see at camp over the
Uh-huh.
course of a summer. Maybe we were there teen week, right? We were there with the older kids, and they have younger kid
Hmm.
camp too for
Hmm.
the elementary school
Right.
kids. So.
Yeah. So they have the elementary side, which we were not a part of that one, but they
Mhm.
have the teen side. And even as the counselor, I didn't know what I was signing up for because these children knew her. And she's been in their lives because she served with them weekly. They didn't know me. But being able to take them shopping and getting their toiletries and all of that beforehand and taking them to lunch, then they were able to meet me and build a relationship with me. But that was like just days before we left. So they was like, okay, this lady, but they were cool. They was like, they were really cool. So that was a great experience. So I tell anyone, y'all, if there is a way that you can sow into the life of our youth in this day and time,
Mm-hmm.
please do so. I mean, all it is your time. No, can't get that time back, but that little bit of time that you can invest
Mm-hmm.
into those children, you never know what kind
Mm-hmm.
of impact that you will make. You may change the very trajectory of their life just because you sowed a seed of 30 minutes into their lives, or
Mm-hmm.
in our cases, a week, but a
Yeah.
week into their lives. But
And
yeah.
thinking about the thing, ministry in action today, I read a ton of research on kids and what's best for them. And people sometimes think, oh, having tutoring and all the academic is what's best. But so much of the research now says the thing that kids need more than anything, all kids, all demographics, all socioeconomic, all things, is multiple positive adult role models in their life. Like people in their lives they know they can count on. And so I don't think you have to start a big organization, even be part of it. I mean, that is something that you can do in every part of your life, like just being a kind word to a kid, all kids, wherever they are, whatever they're doing. I think that is something that we can all do and do better.
Mhm. And be intentional about it. You see a
Mm-hmm.
child is doing something. There was a young man that opened the door for me at a restaurant the other day, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Oh, thank you. You're such a gentleman. Thank you for being the great gentleman that you,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know." And he kind of smiled. He looked like he might have been about 15, but what did that take from me? Not a lot of
Mm-hmm.
time, but words of encouragement and empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Ricky says, "What kids need today is okay." He typed what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 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 yes. That is so true. What kids need
Mm-hmm.
today is positive, multiple positive adult interactions and relationships in their lives. And then he
Mm-hmm.
quoted you on that. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, so y'all, I'm telling you, the things that we experienced at the age of some of these children that we took on this trip, we had no clue for some of the stuff that they've been, that
Mm-hmm.
they've been exposed to. They've been
Mm-hmm.
exposed to so much so early. And so anything that you can do to sow into a child's life, like she said, time, words of encouragement, a smile, because you don't know what those children are going home to.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a clue, you know? So, yes, yes, yes. So, Melinda, one more time, tell people how they can reach out to you guys and help out because you are
Yes.
ministry in action.
Yes, go to pathunited.org. From there, you can find everything, all the ways, the emails, the wish list, the donations, and just follow it on all the social things. All the links are on the website. And I hope that if nothing else, it's encouraging to you to just be kind to kids when you see them and compliment them for good things because you just never know what kids are going through, and that is something that makes such a huge difference.
Absolutely. I want to thank you again for joining us this evening. It was a pleasure, and it was an absolute blessing for our divine connection, how God
Yes.
connected
I
us.
know. Next year, I hope we're roommates again. That's what I'm hoping and
Yes,
praying for. Yes.
yes, yes, yes. So we're going to try to make that happen.
Yes. Thanks for having me. This was so great.
You are so welcome. I want you to stay on, and I'm about to put you back backstage, but stay on for a moment, okay?
Okay, great.
All right. So, y'all, we will be back same time, same place next week. And our guest will be playwright Teresa D. Smith and some of her cast from It's All About Me Part 2. Y'all, they are about to do it live again at the Port of Sanford Center in Decatur, Georgia. So, we will have some of their people live on next week. So, we'll have the playwright and some of the actors and actresses. So y'all come on back and visit us at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will see you then. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Y'all sow this into someone's life because I tell you, Melinda is such a blessing. She and her husband are such a blessing. And God opened up so many doors because of their yes and their obedience to do so. Love y'all. I'll see y'all next week, okay? Bye-bye.